Questions on filmmaking to Godfrey. How do you encourage viewers to reflect deeply on the human condition and its interactions with the environment and technology through cinematic poetry?
Once I was blind, and now I see. All my films are autobiographical. So I, like every other human animal, shares these same aesthetic triplets of sensation, emotion, and perception. So with others more talented than I write and direct, they create, and it's offered as a gift for those that can and may wish to see it. What they see is that which is most present but hidden in plain sight. It's called normality. It's completely insane. What we do is make it linear and non-linear at exactly the same time, make it clear and ambiguous exactly at the same time, and it leaves you with a question that only you, being from the universe, may answer. So, cinematic poetry is an opportunity for an autodidactic experience for those that may.
How does exploration of the complexity of cinematic storytelling in the expressive potential of visuals and music endeavor to nurture new generations of filmmakers to embrace innovation, creativity, and social relevance?
The image, contrary to how films are made today, is an engineering of the visual on the aural. One without the other is like a dawn without a day. So music becomes the narration. Music doesn't go through metaphor, it goes through directly to the soul. It's a direct experience. It's not controllable by any institution. That's why all of them use it to control people. So, I think, therefore I am, Descartes, out the window. I speak, therefore I think. Speaking is the mother, not the handmaiden of the thought. So in speaking, I'm able to hear other people that contact me regularly speaking of what they see, that which is most present but can't be seen. These are young people that are in a different world that don't want the cinema of this day. They're looking for something more visceral, more impactful, more touching, something that connects with the vestigial now aesthetic of triplets of sensation, emotion, and perception.
Beautiful.
What is your philosophy of future present and the ever-evolving landscape of social media relate to? Not some place we are going, but one we create.
In the late 1990s, I was invited by Mr. Benetton to found a school in northeast Italy called Fabrica. The intention that no American corporation would give was to smell the future. So being a filmmaker, I used that as the construct for the engineering of the school. The tense is the future present. Dylan, Blowing in the Wind. Any song you want to talk about. The future is what the prophets of old told about. They didn't talk about something that was going to happen. They talked about something that was happening now. That's why all of the prophets were either crucified or thrown out of the city, etc. So the subject, because I do everything grammaturgically, is a syntax for the eye. The subject is the catastrophe we live under, the destruction of the world we live in, eating it because of earth, air, water, fire, money. The verb is hopeful, the verb to be. The children are not of the future, they are our future, they are in play. The object, the clarion call, not for a fairy tale with a happy ending, but a Homeric call for a resolute beginning. The future present is here. It's only we that can respond.
How does excess play in your philosophy and films as you acknowledge an urgency of addressing current societal challenges while maintaining a forward-thinking mindset?
Baudelaire says, approaching art, intoxication, intoxication, and more intoxication. He's saying that we have to go to our subconscious, not our unconscious. He's telling us you will see the urgency of the world the more intoxicated you become. He's saying, only please yourself because that's all you really know. This is what it means to have art cinema.
So, excess is pleasing yourself.
Always, I only do what I wish to do, what I desire to do, and I do it 8 days a week. And it's never changed from birth to now. I left home at 14, lived in a tree house before, got thrown out of kitty garden. My daddy, who spoke Cajun, made me a monkey with a cup, taught me the boogie woogie, the Burgundy Street blues, getting money. I could dance, I could recite poetry. So I'm a lucky boy. And he was excessive, very excessive.
And are you able to hold the forward-thinking mindset in your excess?
I have never forgotten anything that's happened to me. I'm now over 1,000 months old, and I remember the first thing in my memory was my mother rocking me saying, "My little demon angel, you're so beautiful, God loves you, be good, don't be bad." Yes, since the beginning. And my father recognized that. I stuttered terribly. So he said, I said, "Mom, I don't like that." And he said, "I know, but you stutter. So why don't you make an asset out of your liability?" I was called Mr. CC man. And I could entertain. I was an entertainer. I was born to entertain. So, and I carried that into my films, making liabilities into assets. That is the films I did.
Why is art important with a double-edged sword for impact?
Nietzsche wisely says, we have art that we may not perish from the truth. He was misunderstood. He was not an orthodox. He was a heterodox. And the truth is the truth that men tell us, not that God tells us. And their truth becomes our truth. Scratch your surface, there's an ism within us all. Baudelaire says, humor is the stigmata of original sin. Humor is who we are. We see things best. It's like sympathetic magic through distortion. This is who we are, the human animal. We're not made in the image and likeness of God. We're made in the image and likeness of ourself, a human animal. So human an animal.
How do you relate to that 1960s saying, make art, not war?
Well, for me, art is war. Let me explain. If you have a big boil, and we have a boil that is the size of our body and the earth, the best thing to do it is to lance it. Art should be an infliction. Beauty can be an infliction because it houses truth. So the beauty of the beast, not by word, but by deed. So we show the visual in the arrow and create poetically the beauty of the beast, that the shimmer of the beast that we all worship.
And how does leap and the net will appear and walk on water relate or rely upon your philosophy of filmmaking? How does this connect you to a saint?
Rumi says, like a madman, I have been knocking on the door. It opened. I had been knocking from the inside. Ponder that. It's like leap and the net will appear. It's like the Polish proverb, begin and the work shall show you how. We can walk on water, move mountains, literally, if we have the faith and if we're outsane enough to pursue that which is within us.
Talk about a saint.
Well, I think they're very misunderstood people. A saint is most imperfect. A saint is a sinner. A saint is one who is human. To be human is to be incomplete and fragile. No utopias, no dystopias. To be a saint is to be who we're born to be. Saint Marty, Mother Muse.
Are you exposing what is hidden or hidden in plain sight? Is your exposure couched in beauty or kitsch or complexity? What is your concept of indirect recognition?
I learned a long time ago that people learn in terms of what they already know. My job as a teacher is only to present the question. Socrates. So today people worship and adore and bow down to earth, air, water, fire, money, a Molotov cocktail. They see it in the shining cities on the hill, New York, LA, London, Beijing, Russia, wherever you may be. These are what they know. Everybody wants them. So what I try to do is not criticize it. I try to show the beauty of this rapacious beast that is devouring the whole planet and us at the same time. So my exposure is to its beauty, not to its degradation. A lot of documentaries do that. My concept for indirection, what did you call it? Indirect recognition, very good question, is that the stiller you are, the more you see. we become the environment we are in. The environment is the genius loci. What I see, hear, smell, touch, taste, feel. That is telling me what to see. But if you're quiet, if you're not quiet, if you're distracted by the internet, which you almost cannot be, if you have a gizmo, if you live on the time clock, not by your own bell, then you'll never have that recognition. Still is the complete opposite of the world we live in. We're on speed and rush hour outrunning the future. We've already hit the wall and don't know it because there's so many adverts for medicine. And medicine's smart, as every other thing. They're like the good humor man. Music goes directly to the soul. It doesn't matter what they say. It's liberty, liberty, liberty. It's all of those jingos that go directly, and that's what you remember, like the good humor man. Beware of the good humor man, a very bad sound.
On deception, even if your tool is beauty, are you sending your viewers barking up the wrong tree? Is it necessary for the viewer to recognize deception? Must they have recognition, both of self and the situation? What is most particular on this subject?
Yes, I'm barking up not the wrong tree, but the right tree, the tree of good and evil. Okay? It's called sympathetic magic. It's even in your dictionary. And that means not deception, but distortion for clarity. So I use distortion constantly to clarify. And that distortion becomes like the lion that roars. When the lion's cubs are born, they are born stillborn. And she roars them into life. This is what art can do. It can roar us back to life, give us life. So the recognition, you will find yourself in that roar. We're one of those stillborn babies that is waiting for lion's roar. If you look at what lion's roar is in astrology, which just happened less than a week ago, is that the heaven opens up to give light to everyone. That's in astrology as well. And the people that distribute Nakoikatsi happen to be called what? Lion's Gate, because animals take the place, they're the strongest voice of all. Okay? So we're in the mouth of the dinosaur right now, but we can leap out. We can leap out by being born with the roar of the lion. That roar, its etymology comes from, I can't remember the word, but it doesn't matter right now. It means to provoke one into life. That's its rootal meaning. To provoke is to roar. So I try to make films that roar as loud as the machine may take it. This is what I try to do, pleasing myself only.
How does the concept of your life's work reflect your filmmaking? What is the emotional essence, rasa, of your filmmaking? Comment. Your father encouraged you to let your liabilities be your assets. You took the next step and capitalized on your assets. With your gifts and assets, you've created high-impact films. How do you encourage other creators to proceed in this way?
Now, what I'm going to say will tell you more about me than your question. But that's true for all of us, because all of us are subjects, unique, even monads. We have no boundaries, really, and the names we're given, we have to go deeper into the inscape to find what they mean. So all of my films are autobiographical. My father taught me how to do that, not explicitly, but implicitly, which is not the effective, but the affect upon me. He taught me to take I was kept in school in Penance Hall for 6 years, every day to write the Bible or do the rosary. My little brother had to stay with me. My daddy was never home. My mother worked. She was the money in the family. My daddy let me live in a tree house. He let me do a detective agency with Big Bobby De Silva, my best friend to this day, now at 480 pounds. When we get together, all we talk about is the past as if it was the future. We don't understand the kids of the day, or he doesn't, but I think I do, and he really does, because as Baudelaire says, genius is childhood recovered. I'm not responsible. It's a gift of the gods. It's called enthusiasm, in ente, the God within. I'm possessed of, that's a gift. Like Trump, the jawbone of an ass can be a gift. So I share that gift with him, with dearest Donald Trump.
And how do you encourage other creators to proceed in this way?
I never ask anybody to do anything. If they come to me, I don't hear anything from them until they're either with me or on the Zoom. They ask the questions, show me stuff. They are feeling what I feel. While we're subjective, the many, the one. We all have the same set of emotions. We all have the same needs. It's not the story, it's the storyteller. There's 7 or 8 stories that exist throughout history, no more. Certainly no more. They're all retold constantly. The story's unimportant. It's how it's told. When I was in Italy with Oliviero Toscani, who was Benetton's brain man, he sat at a desk in Tuscany with maybe 12, 15 telephones that ring constantly. He'd answer them and put them down. I said, "What are you doing, Oliviero?" He says, "It's not what they say, it's how they say it." So he knew that, I know that, I can tell on the phone, God bless the evil phone. I can tell when I'm with people, I look at their face, not what they say. Their face says more than what they say. Usually what they say is socialization. What I read is what the soul is saying. So we are this and that, not this or that. So that gives me great compassion and makes me feel like they, like all the rest of us, me included, are subjective. The language no longer describes the world we live in, then it's called, what I'm going to say now is a reboost, not by word, but by object, by deed, by act, to rewrite the language. The old Chinese proverb says, in time of maximum social crisis, the most important thing to do is rename the world in which we live. So a reboost is what these films are. Our language no longer describes the world we live in, our tragedy, because as Wittgenstein says, we see the world through language. The limit of our language is the limit of our of our world. We are all sun-blind now. Two things in life cannot be seen, the sun and death. We are all sun gazers all. We're blind. Now I say to you, as I began, once I was blind, and now I see. And thank you, Martin.